This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Oh, fiddlesticks! What, Wilbur? We just got hit and I think my back is all been out of shape.
You gotta talk with those whippersnappers at the Advocates Law Firm. They're the best injury lawyers around.
What? Pipe down, Clarence! Abner's telling me about the lawyers and the advocates. So what happened to you, Abner?
I was walking across the street with the light when some young punk came screeching around the corner. I lost a toe.
What? Shut it, Clarence! If you get injured, the advocates get results.
AdvocatesLaw.com.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the Men's Room knows just who it is. So to you we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drink time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Stephen Throwhill to find out who we're toasted.
Yes, indeed. Before we get to the shot of the day, you know that KISW is an Odyssey station. But before we were an Odyssey station, we were an Intercom station. So Carmen comes in and says, I was a receptionist at Intercom. I cannot stand dirty dishes in the sink. I also cannot understand why people cannot put waste in the correct bin. I even made signs, and no one cared.
Oh, there's a sign above our sink forever. There is no garbage disposal. Please stop putting the frickin' food in the sink, and that did not stop anybody from doing it. They just dumped their crap, the whole plate, they wash it in.
They worked with us from 2008 to 2009. Just send us your names, I have an idea. Today we toast a group of anonymous thieves in Denver, Colorado. Now, crime is very often just opportunistic. It's not your goal to commit a crime, but then something makes it so easy to commit the crime that you do. This is a fine example of that. There's a box truck parked next to a major dog park, back to dog parks, and a playground. It's around 11 a.m. Well, someone decided to break into a parked truck and steal whatever they can get their hands on. It's a box truck. We all know that Amazon, UPS, FedEx, whatever, DHL, whatever, there might be something good in there. What they got their hands on, they got a dolly, and then they got a blue and white cardboard box, fairly large one. Now, authorities do not have any suspects, but they do know what the thieves got their hands on. Inside of that box was not one, not two, but several human heads. Oh, yeah. It was slated to go to the local university where they're studying such things. So it's a box, one box, several human heads. So I guess if I'm a crook and I'm looking at it like, that is a big box.
That's when I call out to class. That's when I'm sick. I do not want to go and deal with a human head.
Well, if it's part of my class, I'd be down. Man.
I know, but still, I'll be like, I got to skip this day.
I like the idea that these guys have no idea what they got.
And they open that box up.
Oh, my God.
Why is this on dry ice?
Right.
What is this? What kind of, is this seafood?
There's a head looking up at you. So we pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola bichola!
The Men's Room presents Profile This.
And Stephen Throwhill, can you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
I sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story, something that happened right here on planet Earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes a story a story. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hola, doing well. All right, Jennifer, you understand how this here game is played?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Try not to sound so enthusiastic.
Okay.
So you have your choice of one of three stories, of course.
I get it.
Yeah, you just said it. Okay. We have the wonderful world of drugs. We have Bite Me. In other words, what did someone find in their food? And finally, interior decorating, where you guess the foreign object that ended up on the inside of someone.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
So which category do you want, Jennifer? Do you want drugs, interior decorating, or Bite Me?
Let's go with Bite Me.
Just eat it. Get yourself an egg and beat
All right, here is your story. A man was enjoying a nice warm McDonald's hash brown. He claims to have found a rather disgusting surprise at the bottom. The man, identified on Reddit as LinkBoyIT, posted a photo of the offending potatoes, which showed something gross at the bottom. He said, quote, "I thought it was purple lettuce until I turned the light on. I swear I nearly dropped the thing when I saw what it was." Now, LinkBoyIT says he went back to McDonald's, showed them the fried treat, only to have the manager acting different about the whole thing. Says, quote, "I took the thing and showed it to the manager, and she marked my receipt so I could get the same meal for free next time if I come back in for breakfast. She didn't really seem all that concerned." Anyway, we don't know the final outcome of this, but he's no longer a fan of McDonald's hash browns specifically. But what did he find in his food? Did he find a cockroach, a Band-Aid, a toenail, or a moth?
He found a Band-Aid.
Band-Aid.
Ooh. I mean, Band-Aid seems the easiest, right? I mean, that just happens. They fall off.
It's happened, yeah. I've been a part of that before.
Yeah, exactly.
We caught it before it got to the diner, but we're like, I think there's a Band-Aid in the food.
Thrill, it can happen to anybody working in a kitchen. All right?
It is so
Don't
good.
feel bad.
No, totally. I just think that's a lot grosser than a moth. And a toenail, I don't know. A toenail I don't really see being purplish, but you never know.
You haven't seen the feet of some people downtown, friend.
Ted, I'm going cockroach.
Right, you said it was crunchy, right?
He did not comment on the texture of whatever it was. He thought it was purple lettuce, but he picked it up. I don't know if he ever put it in his mouth.
You know what? Just for gross factor, I'll go toenail.
Toenail for Ted. And Jennifer, you're going to stick with Band-Aid. Final answer, correct?
Yeah. I think I'm going to stick with that final answer.
All right, we're going to find out what was in his hash brown. Was it a cockroach, a Band-Aid, a toenail, or a moth next?
That was a tease.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Hey, all of Macholas, thank you so much for listening to the Men's Room Podcast.
And thanks to our pals at the Advocates Law Firm for being great partners. Yes, even you, creepy Kyle.
Seriously, though, if you'd been injured as a result of somebody else in your car, on your bike, walking across the street, talk to our friends at the Advocates Law Firm and let them help you out.
Yeah, they're the best injury lawyers around, and they want to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. Plus, your first consultation is free.
It's simple. You get injured, the advocates get results. Contact them today at advocateslaw.com.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Categories by me on profile this. We got a man who was eating his delicious hash brown when he noticed something gross at the bottom of it. Took it to a manager. The manager did not seem too concerned, but did offer the person a free breakfast in return.
Sure. Yeah.
And that was all fine and all, but he could identify, or she could, what was in that hash brown. Question is, was it a cockroach, a Band-Aid, a toenail, or a moth?
And Jennifer, that is the very question that we posed to you. You went with a Band-Aid, which I agree is probably the grossest thing you can find in your food. However, not the correct answer this time. Lee Ted Smith, you swung for the fences with the toenail.
I did.
Which would be even grosser than the Band-Aid from my point of view.
Correct.
And Miles, you went cockroach.
I did.
La cucaracha.
I like my hash brown scrunchy.
There you go.
How would you? They got to be crispy.
I hate it when they're soft. God, so terrible. Yeah, you got to make a hash brown.
Because then it's just potato mush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, potato mush. What do I look like, a child?
Now for all TV news all time for TV Time with Ted.
And now, because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box, the Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
All right. Your choices today. You got SNL.
Okay.
Bill Maher. The Jimmies.
Fallon and Kimmel.
Seth Meyers.
Jesus.
Ted Smith.
Is it Ted or is it late night?
It is right there on the side. All these guys have teams of talents and writers that help them come up with their monologues each and every night. It is up to you to determine, is this an actual late night joke and from whom, or could it be a The Ted Smith original?
The new movie, The Batman, has arrived in theaters. So I guess we're cool with bats again.
SNL.
Seth Meyers.
Valid.
Well, guys, this is very exciting. The new movie, The Batman, has arrived in theaters. So I guess we're cool with bats again.
Former President Donald Trump was overheard on a phone conversation with pro golfer John Daly, talking about how he would have handled the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Look, I'm not saying it's a bad idea to share with John Daly, but he did once get thrown out of a Hooters for being too drunk, and Hooters was his sponsor.
Ted Smith.
SNL.
Smith.
Damn it.
I still love that story. They sponsored him for years. He got so hammered, they were like, sorry, we
gotta go.
You gotta go. Serena Williams criticized the New York Times after it mistakenly printed a picture of Venus Williams and labeled it as Serena Williams. Worse, the Times then sent an apology letter to Wendy Williams.
SNL.
SNL.
That is SNL.
Serena Williams criticized the New York Times after it mistakenly printed a picture of her sister, Venus Williams, and labeled it as Serena. Worse, the Times then sent an apology letter to Wendy Williams.
NBC just announced a new reality show called $1 Million Island, where they dump 100 contestants on an island for 50 days. They even have a cool new name for the show, Survivor.
Bill Maher.
Fallon.
NBC just announced a new reality show called $1 Million Island, where they dump 100 contestants on an island for 50 days. Yeah, they even have a cool name for the show, Survivor.
Dunkin' has announced a new beverage called the Shamrock Macchiato, which combines espresso, vanilla, and Irish cream. It's a festive sugary drink that'll have you saying, top o' the morning, and loosen the bottom o' your leg.
SNL.
The Ted Smith.
That's SNL.
Dunkin' has announced a new beverage called the Shamrock Macchiato, which combines espresso, vanilla, and Irish cream. It's the festive sugary drink that will have you saying top o' the morning and losing the bottom o' your leg.
I mean, I'm sure it's good. Let's see. Mike, we were talking about this earlier. You're a Wardle fan.
Yeah.
I see you talking to the guys on the morning show about it all the time on Twitter.
Constantly.
It's the main thing. Well, Netflix is launching basically what they're hoping is going to be their new obsession on April 1st. It's a daily interactive trivia series called Trivia Quest. Each episode will feature 24 questions, 12 standard, and 12 hard ones.
Ooh.
The categories are science, history, entertainment, sports, art, and geography.
All right. So Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's not quite as unforgiving as Wardle because you can replay quizzes in order to get the right answers and accumulate points. So number one, it does sound like Trivial Pursuit. And then number two is, do you guys, Mike, I don't know if you're old enough for this. You guys remember playing trivia in bars? Like now
they had the machines that they bring out?
Yeah, they used to just have the screen, like the names and the points up on a screen.
Right.
So instead of like trivia where it's like somebody in the bar doing trivia, you could sit at it. I used to do it all the time with my brother when he worked at a Fridays.
You could jump in at any time. You could get a box and start the game when it began. And then, everything is up there. There's no announcements or anything like that. You're playing against teams not only in that bar, but around the United States.
Correct.
So like the number one team in that game could be in Buffalo, New York, or something like that. And you're watching all these scores because, like Ted said, they put them up on the screen so you could see how you ranked, Yeah,
I remember a lot of bars would have sports on. Then they just have one screen dedicated to that. And then it was also kind of crazy, too, because every once in a while you'd be like, who the hell's in this bar playing this game with me? So, yeah, it was pretty cool. But that's when I read that story, I was like, that's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds like the bar, like trivia little handheld game you'd sit there and do forever.
We played trivia at Olive Garden the other week. I don't think we were competing against other teams or anything, but kids were fascinated. And I was surprised at how much they knew.
That's awesome.
Trivia, and I noticed bingo's big now in some bars.
Yeah, I just never got into bingo. I still need another 30 years maybe. But, I've noticed that it's kind of made a comeback in a weird way.
Well, bingo's easy, too. It's like with trivia, you got to be quiet to hear. It's pretty easy. Like, you could sit in a room and hear somebody say B64.
Mm-hmm.
I also like, it's kind of funny, too, with the, usually I feel like if I see people playing bingo in a bar, it's usually like a brewery. But it's also funny, too, because, like, I know they don't care and they're working. But it's like, can I get another beer? You know what? I'll wait. You're playing bingo.
Right.
Let's see. I was just made a joke about that from Fallon, but Survivor, it's been a CBS staple for 22 years.
Jeez.
NBC is kind of doing its own knockoff. Like, they're not even kidding with this one, right? $1 Million Island. So instead of 16 to 20 contestants, it'll be 100. They're stranded on a deserted island for 50 days rather than the typical 39. And I guess recently it's only been 26 for Survivor.
Survivor was huge.
It was.
Their first season, I was working at a classic rock station in Baltimore, and the finale was such a big deal to see who was going to win Survivor.
It was huge.
There was a bar called Bohager's, and it was an indoor-outdoor bar, kind of under a big tent, and they put this huge screen up where they normally would have live bands and everything.
Yeah.
And they lit some tiki torches. This is before tiki torches were tiki torches.
Right.
And so you felt like you were in kind of a Survivor type of, even though you're on pavement for the most part. But either way, I remember there were at least 200 to 300 people there.
Had to have been.
Everybody was on the edge of their seat. People would bring in their own chairs.
It was a huge
Survivor, and I think people forget, too, how big Idol was. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember driving, my buddy and his parents had rented a place down in the Outer Banks. And I remember I drove down by myself like 9 or 10 hours to get there. So they were way out there. And when I got there, he was like, "Shh, you got to be quiet." And I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "We're watching the end of Survivor." And like, they were like, yeah, like, get a drink, whatever. Just don't bug anybody.
Right, just shut up.
Just shut up, basically, for 30 minutes till the show ends. But you're right. It was a massive, massive deal. And it was just crazy. Like, we're kind of used to a lot of these competition shows now, but
it kind of spurred it along.
I've never seen anything like that. I've watched a lot of shows. I know sports are a different animal as far as viewing parties. But as far as a show that was a show that people watched on a weekly basis, I can't think of any other. Everyone watched the season finale of Seinfeld who was into it. They didn't have viewing parties.
Right.
This was, honestly, 200 people, 300 people in a bar to watch a show that they could watch on their own TV at home.
Yep.
Just what was it? Richard Hatch, I think, won the first one. I remember there was the girl, Sue, who was like a truck driver and gave the famous speech about rats and snakes or something. I mean, it was about, that's what it was like, we got to build an allegiance to take down the other team. Like you just, those terms that we use so often now, like you just didn't see that before Survivor.
And props to Jeff Probst, man. Like, I've had one gig for 20-some years. You can watch the show, not watch the show. I'm doing just fine.
So here's the other thing, though. This show on NBC, you know what else they have? And Thurl, you'll love this. Bracelets.
I already don't like it. What is it?
Everyone starts with a bracelet worth $10,000. Contestants can gain or lose bracelets throughout various challenge. But whenever a contestant leaves the island, he or she chooses who gets their money.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Bracelets feel like it's like more like a video game. It seems like, so, you know what I mean? There's been, with Sonic, there's been rings for years.
Yeah. By the way, every guy that gets booted off is going to hand it to the chick he thinks is hot. I don't have to watch the show. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Do you make a deal with that person that you give the stuff to if you win?
Well, the grand prize is $1 million, right? So I see where I'm with Miles. I think I would make a pact with somebody who I think's actually going to win. Whatever they looked at and be like, all right, look, I'll give you my bracelet, but you better cut me off a chunk of change.
Yeah. If you say it like that, it might work.
Yeah.
You better cut me off a chunk of change. All right, Ray Lewis.
He lives in Seattle. I'll never be in Seattle. I need to see this guy again.
You know what? You're right, Thurl. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody. I don't know that I've ever said to somebody in person, like, you better have it. Cut me off a chunk of change.
Right. I've never felt that aggressive in that moment.
Look, for the most part, it doesn't seem that much different than Survivor. They say, quote, it's an intense competition. The strength of your personal bonds are just as important as being the ultimate player.
So like Survivor. Everything they're saying is exactly what you would say for Survivor.
Well, it's some of these reality show contests are a little bit different, too, because in sports, that's why steroids were such a massive deal and this and that, because it's kind of understood that you'll do whatever it takes to compete, but you won't cheat.
Right.
Whereas I feel like this is like these shows, it's a lot more like lying and backstabbing each other.
Well, sure, it's conniving.
Yeah.
It's more like politics. I mean, you say what you got to say to get where you got to get, and backstab what you got to backstab.
I kind of respect it, though, too. It's like, well, they're playing for money, so of course they're going to lie and cheat.
Yes. Yeah, why wouldn't you? I would.
Do you guys all have Disney Plus, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Because of The Mandalorian?
That is correct.
Like the
Nothing to do with the kids.
I enjoy Hulu and the ESPN Plus programming.
Oh, all right. There's
some good stuff. Like the Tom Brady stuff is on there if you want to. They have original shows. And
Peyton Manning,
Pam and Tommy.
Peyton Manning has a good series on there. He did for a while, too, on ESPN Plus.
Was that the thing with Eli for Monday night?
No, he did. Right, so that was like the Manning cast.
Yeah.
But he also had one, too. I want to say it was like Sundays with Peyton or something. Basically, he would go around to other NFL cities. Like I saw one where he went to Baltimore and he hung out with Ray Lewis and they ate blue crabs.
That had to be weird. Just their personalities, I'm saying. I'm sure they know each other very well. They competed against each other for a decade.
Pro Bowl teams forever.
Yeah. But still, just those two, like,
I also forget, too, growing up in Maryland, we're just so used to cracking crabs and eating a bunch of them. Like, I was eating some Dungies this weekend, and I was just like, no, man, you just got to get in there. And somebody was like, well, you going to pick me some crab meat? I was like,
No.
I mean, I was hammered. They're pregnant, so I was like, sure.
Okay, that's different.
I'll help you out.
Right.
Plus, I was like, you know me, man. I'm cruising through those things.
Okay, Prego.
Well, Disney Plus is rolling out a cheaper subscription tier later this month. Basically, it'll be a little bit cheaper, but you're going to have to watch some ads. And I do this with a couple of mine, too. Like, I want to say, is it Paramount Plus? Like, they run like 60 or 160 minute
Hulu has it. It doesn't bother me. It gives me enough time to get up, use the bathroom.
I'm with you.
Right.
Use the bathroom, get a beer.
I got 90 seconds.
Yeah. You know what? Like, all right, I got 90 seconds to go get a snack.
Yeah, seriously.
It's like what we grew up with, man.
Right, exactly. Well, it is funny.
But we had more time.
You get so used to not seeing commercials that, like, you got to end up pausing shows to go use the bathroom. And then, God, I always feel like an idiot when I'm watching stuff on DVR, and I'm like, why am I watching the ads?
Everyone forgets that they're watching it on DVR.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Ted. We appreciate it. You are listening to The Men's Room.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Hey, all the Macholos, thank you so much for listening to the Men's Room podcast.
And thanks to our pals at the Advocates Law Firm for being great partners. Yes, even you, creepy Kyle.
Seriously, though, if you'd been injured as a result of somebody else in your car, on your bike, walking across the street, talk to our friends at the Advocates Law Firm and let them help you out.
Yeah, they're the best injury lawyers around, and they want to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. Plus, your first consultation is free.
It's simple. You get injured, the advocates get results. Contact them today at advocateslaw.com.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Now, let's see what's happening in the real world.
All right, here we go to Austin, Texas, where moviegoers checking out the Batman. Well, they got the real deal. Meanwhile, a Florida man walks up neighbor's driveway naked before depositing his last meal. Man climbs into a volcano in Hawaii to help save a boy's trapped dog. A woman believes she took a picture of a ghost beside her with a really big hog. And a woman catfishes men on a dating site in a shock to learn men are shallow. It's time for your headline.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's my cop.
And top story, we go to Hawaii, where a man saved a dog. The man posted a video of his rescue as he climbed into a volcano vent to save the dog. The dog had managed to fall into the crevice 25 feet down and had been stuck there for 2 days without food or water. With the assistance of crews, the man risked sudden temperature spikes and dangerous gases and made his descent. He was able to tether the dog to himself and hoist the animal back up to safety.
He was like the only guy who does that in the area.
Right.
So he's like an adventure seeker type guy
Right.
who films all this stuff.
Done this a lot of times.
And they said, like, who do we have that can go into this volcano?
Gary.
Basically, they didn't have anybody. It's like, I'll call that one dude. And he was there like in 5 minutes, like, I got this.
Exactly. And it's not like it was an easy place that, just rappel down and go grab the dog. This was a tight crevice that he actually slipped into, made it all the way down there, and apparently, obviously, the dog was apprehensive when he first got down there, so half the problem is just getting down there. The other half is getting the dog to trust you long enough to where you can just grab a hold of it and tether him to it.
But I feel like the dog was in a situation where it's like, I don't care who you are, grab me.
Right.
Although I saw a picture of the guy that went in, and I'm like, he looks like the dude that would jump into a volcano.
Yes. He was way too excited to jump into that.
Right. Every picture's got a big grin, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. In other news, a man in Florida got himself arrested for not being very neighborly. The story goes that in broad daylight and unprovoked, the man walked over to his neighbor's home, completely naked, and defecated on the glass table on their porch.
Come on, man.
Damn. Video evidence of the vandalism
It's called the glass bottom boat if you're laying underneath.
Listen to Dirty Big Dummy every Thursday on the app.
Right.
Video evidence of the vandalism was captured on not one but two of the home security cameras, and he was arrested. And given that this is far from his first offense, he remains in jail due to previous arrests.
That is some nerve, man.
That's the thing, is that he's got no motive. It's not like the neighbors were mean. It's not like they were telling him to do something that he didn't want to do. He just like, screw it, I'm going to go poop on their table.
Looks like a fine spot to poop.
It does. In Texas, someone just ruined the movie for everyone else. While screening the latest Batman movie, patrons got some extra excitement as a live bat had gotten loose inside of the theater.
Oh,
the movie was stopped. Yeah, right. The movie was stopped, and the animal control was called to remove it. Officials believe that the bat had gotten into the theater thanks to a likely prankster, prompting them to up security, promising to check all bags before people go into the theaters. Here's what I'm thinking. Okay, the one off with the bat, that's just rude. You suck. Don't do that. But then when they're saying that they're going to up security, that means everybody who is now bringing in snacks or drinks or something like that, they are all going to start just getting called out because now they have an excuse to search your stuff.
Hide it on your person.
Right.
Not the bag. That's just my guess.
It can be in the middle of summer, and I feel like I always tend to walk into movie theaters with a very big coat on.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Because it gets cold in those movie theaters. A woman took to TikTok to show her undercover plot to prove the shallowness of men. Having had issues getting any takers on her Hinge profile, she's chosen to take a more, quote, ironic approach by making a cookie-cutter type profile. She says that she is a, quote, nihilistic existentialist, but created a fake profile of a woman that is, quote, super cool, super chill, doesn't take herself too seriously chick. The plan worked like a charm, receiving several matches daily, which she says proves her point that men don't care about what she has to say. They just want a woman that'll follow them wherever they go.
Right, but I mean, it's a little selective how you did it.
Right.
Look, the guys have never told, we're not shallow. Like, you're on a dating app, dummy.
Exactly.
I mean, no offense, but it's going to be kind of shallow there. It does not mean the people behind the profile are shallow, but it's a dating
Usually
app.
I get to know you before I start learning what the baggage is that you have. Like, we all have our problems. We all have our baggage that we carry. That's why we kind of keep it in the closet until we kind of get a little bit more involved, and then you start bringing these
Everything
things
you post is shallow.
Exactly.
Right, as a courtesy to other people.
Right.
When I meet people, they are shallow. Hello, how are you? It is nice to meet you. They don't immediately say, like, I have stage 3 cancer and I killed my wife. What? Save it, man. Right.
And that is it for your headlines with that. Mike Hawkins.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. More Men's Room is up next with the Men's Room Happy Hour exclusively on the Odyssey app.
Yes, indeed. It's all true. But in the meantime, well, we be all about this bitch for 180 seconds. So until then, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.
The Men's Room has been taped before a live studio audience. Wardrobe and makeup provided by Mantastic Limited. This has been a presentation of the Men's Room Radio Network.
Oh, man!
A Double Flush production.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.